Hey, Derek here from freedomcarlingrv.com, and today I want to talk about some realistic expectations with Thousand Trails. Today we are actually in, I believe it's Diamond Caverns Thousand Trails in Kentucky, right outside of the Mammoth Caverns. And, I see some questions on our YouTube channel and some kind of mean comments about Thousand Trails. And I want to talk about some realistic expectations when you sign up for a Thousand Trails membership. Stick around. All right, so I think most of the comments that people have, the negative comments about Thousand Trails, are due to kind of some misconceptions. They don't really know what they're getting into. And part of that, I will admit, is a Thousand Trails problem. Because if you go to the Thousand Trails main website, you're going to see picturesque views, you're going to see RV resort type photos. Now they do have some RV resorts, but most of them, the really nice ones, they're really difficult to get into. So for people to expect a 5-star RV resort when they sign up for a Thousand Trails membership, sadly they're going to be disappointed. So let's give some real expectations of what can people expect when they go to the website and they sign up for a membership. What are they getting themselves into? So I want to talk about kind of the bad and the good. We have another video on this that's a little more detailed, and I will link that right here. It's actually Stephanie giving a review of Thousand Trails. So we already covered number one, they are not resorts for the most part, but I can tell you that the one we're at right now is actually really well kept. It's not a resort, but it's really open, it's well kept, the pool is well kept, the staff is great. So moving on. Number two, when you sign up for a Thousand Trails membership, you have to understand that most of the parks are they're not around anything. Most of them are actually out in the country somewhere. So they're miles away from, I don't want to say civilization, but they're miles away from main attractions. So to think that you're going to have a Thousand Trails park in downtown San Antonio or in a tourist location is kind of misleading. However, there are some nice Thousand Trails parks right in the middle of some really great attractions, like in Williamsburg, Virginia. There's a Thousand Trails park right down the street from Old Town Williamsburg, and that one is a great location. But right up the street in Chesapeake, I say right up the street, it's about 45 minutes away. That particular Thousand Trails is also, they have two pools. It's an awesome location, but it's in the middle of nowhere. You're going to drive about 20-25 minutes to the nearest grocery store. So it is a truck to get out there. And what we have found is in most of the cases at these Thousand Trails parks, they are a ways away from, a main grocery store. They're a ways away from a Walmart, from, an Aldi or something like that. So don't expect a Thousand Trails to be located, in the heart of a tourist destination. It's going to be very difficult to find one. You're going to have to smile. You got to smile a little bit. So why do we love Thousand Trails, or why do we continue to stick with them even though they don't have a lot of what we were told they have? And by the way, our representative, when we actually purchased Thousand Trails, didn't tell us all that. It was the website that actually misled us. But when we actually talked to our sales rep, they didn't mislead us at all. They were actually very honest, and we really did appreciate that. So I like working with some of the Thousand Trails reps. Now, why do we still love it? Number one, our channel is all about traveling full-time on a budget, and Thousand Trails allows us to do that. It allows us to travel and stay 21 days with our package, and we pay very little to be a part of that. Now, the bad side of that is most of the places are first come, first serve, and we do have to actually make reservations sometimes 90 days out to make sure that we have a spot. But it works out great for us. We pay very little, and we have been able to travel and see some amazing things. So we don't have a lot bad to say about Thousand Trails. We are okay with the fact that we're not in a resort. We're okay with the fact that most of them have a pool. Most of the time our kids have a safe place to play. They meet kids, they meet friends. So what else could I ask for? Another thing with Thousand Trails that I actually enjoy is the fact that we can stay 3 weeks at a time. I already mentioned that. And then we can just go hop to another Thousand Trails. So it gives us time once we're in a location to actually see what all is around that particular park, and then we just move on. So for instance, I already said that Thousand Trails parks are usually, for the most part, not around main attractions. However, if you get certain packages, you can stay there long enough and actually drive to see all the main attractions and then go back to your Thousand Trails. So we don't use Thousand Trails as a vacation destination, which I think some people, once they buy the packages, they actually think that it's going to be a vacation experience. Now, although some Thousand Trails parks are very nice, that's not the case. We leverage Thousand Trails parks because, one, they are inexpensive. We don't pay a lot for our Thousand Trails membership. So we get to stay at any park we want as long as we plan it out for 3 weeks at a time. And then we plan all of our trips and our hikes and all of our adventures around that Thousand Trails. We don't say, hey, I want to go on vacation and go to this Thousand Trails park. That's just not how we operate it. So if you are expecting a vacation destination, Thousand Trails is probably not for you. Now, who is Thousand Trails for? If you are traveling, trying to show your kids and your family the U.S. and you want to see national parks, state parks, you want to leverage Thousand Trails we actually met a family. They're actually seeing all the roller coasters. I'll actually link their YouTube page on here. They're going to check out all the roller coasters in the U.S. and they're leveraging Thousand Trails to stay near these parks while they do it. So if you're the type of person that likes to get out, likes to see things, maybe you're retired and you just want to travel every 3 weeks, you want to take it slow, and you still want the freedom to travel, then Thousand Trails is for you. If you are a family or a couple that wants amenities, like if you want to be pampered at your campground, then Thousand Trails is probably not for you. If you have the disposable income, or if you have the retirement or whatever to afford, more expensive campgrounds, then Thousand Trails might leave you a little disappointed. However, if you are like us and you are only leveraging the campgrounds to see other destinations and planning trips that way, then Thousand Trails is most certainly for you. Especially if you have a limited budget like ourselves. Our whole channel is about traveling with kids full-time and saving money, and Thousand Trails allows us to do that. All right.
I want to talk about the face.
Since my lovely pregnant wife,
thank you,
Stephanie does all of the scheduling. Like, literally, I've never scheduled anything with Thousand Trails. So
with any campground.
With any campground, that's right.
or any.
She does all the scheduling. She's like, hey, we're going to go here. As a matter of fact, when she asks me my opinion, she is really good about saying, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm usually like, yeah, that sounds good. Because, I could
say something totally off the wall. Like,
yeah. She could
hey,
schedule...
what do you think about going to Alaska? And I could be like, November 12th. And he'd be like, okay, sure, whatever. Yeah. Like, do you realize what I just asked you?
She could say, hey, we're going to Thailand next week. And I'd be like, okay, sweet. She just points me in the direction that I go. Because she does all the scheduling, I thought I'd let her kind of explain what she likes, her likes and dislikes about Thousand Trails, and what to expect when you actually get a membership and when you're actually booking a site.
Because it's not like you call up any regular campground and say, hey, we're coming the week of blank. Can we get a site? Like, can we fit? Can you all fit us wherever? It depends on your membership. It depends on which pass you have with them, what you can get, how far in advance you can schedule. You can't call a year out like with a lot of campgrounds. The most you can schedule, I think, with Thousand Trails is 6 months, right? I think it's 6 months.
Kids are knocking on the door.
We got neighborhood kids knocking.
You're looking at us. What do you need?
I'm gonna wash the dishes and fill the Berkey.
Can you wait until we're done with this, and then you can watch
the Berkey's already filled. I did it last night. You
just wait just a few minutes for us to finish this, and then you can get behind us and do the
you
dishes.
can go help
Thank
with
you.
your room. Or actually, I don't mind doing the dishes, but you have
Kim Jackson,
Legos.
since I did this and that.
Okay, but you didn't make your
I already
bed.
picked up some.
Your bed isn't
Yeah.
made.
I will mention this, like, because the people have. This is a side note. Sorry, completely side note. People were worried about our kids making friends because we travel full time, and every Thousand Trails that we've been to, there have been other families with kids the same age as our kids, just like they're knocking on our door right now to come play. So
There are 8 families. It's
Yeah.
not always this many, especially we're in a smaller park right now. Diamond Caverns is fairly small on the scale of Thousand Trails.
yeah.
There's 8 families here right now. So the kids, we had movie night last night. The kids like all hung out. Anyway, what I wanted to say, like the big gist of all of this, is that we use Thousand Trails as a tool. It's a tool. It is a thing in our toolbox of ways that we save money, because we are a young family. I say young. We have little kids and life's expensive, and we try to save money where we can. And so we use Thousand Trails as a tool, literally, to be able to help us save money. So we're not spending minimum $35 a night somewhere. There's campgrounds that are over $100 a night. You know, depending on where you are, location, what their amenities are, whether it's like a resort kind of place, down near the beach, like places like that, things can be $100 a night or more. So we use Thousand Trails as a tool to save us money, and that's it. That is our biggest tool in our toolbox. But in order to use it as a tool to save money, we have to be flexible. And we tell people all the time, like, we love Thousand Trails. We would never get rid of our membership unless we completely went off the road and camping was not in our, we're not weekend camping even. Otherwise, we'll probably keep it forever. But you have to be flexible. Sorry, I'm out of breath.
Yeah.
I'm pregnant.
Well, pregnant.
She's like pushing
On your
up
diaphragm.
on my ribs, on my lungs. I'm just talking and getting out of breath. Okay, but we have to be flexible, and so if you're gonna get a membership with Thousand Trails, we have a video that talks about all the memberships and the options and all of that. So we won't go into all that.
We'll link it right. We'll try to link it right, either there or here. Yeah.
So you can go watch that video. We just want people to realize that you have to be flexible in order to use it as a tool in your toolbox to save money. You're not always going to get the perfect site at the perfect park that's 50 amp and full hookup and whatever it is that you wanted. Sometimes you have to be willing to take a 30 amp spot because that's what they have available. Sometimes you have to be willing to get a site maybe with no sewer. Sometimes they have a honey wagon service where they'll come around and pump you out for $5 or $10. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't have that. And you might, if you're there long enough, you might need another option, like you need a Blue Boy. We are 2.5 years full-time on the road, and we have still never purchased a Blue Boy. We've never needed one. No. We've always made it work. So, but you're not going to get, at every single park, every single time, a 50 amp full hookup site that's a perfect, you have a perfect little yard out front. It's nice and beautiful. It's not that way. We like to think of Thousand Trails are more kind of like a state park quality with a pool and a few more amenities. Sometimes those amenities are fantastic.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not so fantastic. It has its pros and
My bad.
knock your coffee.
It's cool.
It has its pros and cons. You might be at a site or a campground that is first come first serve, and somebody with a little bitty pop up comes into the park, or a teeny tiny Class B van comes in and they get a 60-foot pull through site.
Yeah.
And you're like, why are
What
they
was
parked
that?
there? Because we need that site, and we're trying to back into a site that's 30 feet deep, and we literally won't fit in it because we're 40 feet long. So you have to be flexible. Most of the time that does not happen. I was just going to say, you have to be flexible. You have to know that when you're booking, You might not be able to book for the very next week. You might not be able to book the perfect site or the perfect dates that you want. You might need to go to the left or the right on the calendar a little bit. So I'll say, I know we need to be here this certain week, but if I can get like a day or two ahead or a day or two this way, I'll figure it out. If you need to be somewhere on an exact date at an exact time, those are the times when you have to book your sites in advance. In the summer, up north, or in the winter, down south. So think of it like everybody heads south for the winter and everybody heads north for the summer to escape the heat. So those are the times where you want to book in advance if you're going to be trying to compete for those sites. Then again, we haven't had a huge problem. I booked 4 months. Our membership allows us to book 4 months in advance. And I did that all summer last year. Up the Northeast coast, we were going to head to Maine. And I booked them exactly 4 months in advance. Went from one park to another park to another park. Got all my stuff on the calendar. Had it all wrote like where we're going to go. And then our plans changed. We had to go to Virginia and check on our rental property. We had a tenant had to get evicted. And so we had to go do some work. And we had to change our plans. So I called Thousand Trails and I was like, hey, I'm in a bind. Can you help me out? Help me figure out these dates before I go online and mess it up in the computer. And they talked through it with me and she jotted down some dates and she was able to completely switch like 3 different campground reservations and never took us out of the system. It helped me. They helped me figure it out and did it for me on the phone. It was great. So it's just something to keep in mind. If you're going to head north in the summer or south in the winter, you want to book your sites in advance if you can. If not, a lot of times you're still plenty lucky and can get a site if you're very flexible. But you have to be flexible. Again, I just keep using that word over and over. You have to remember that not all the parks have enough 50 amp full hookup sites for everybody in the park to get one. So if you are a 50 amp rig and you're going to be there a while and you want to have sewer connection and all of that, you just have to kind of cross your fingers and hope you get one at some of these parks. Now, there's other parks that every site in the campground is 50 amp full hookup, our home base. So it's just a tool in our toolbox to save money. And if you're flexible and you look at it like we do, it's a great option. And if you look at it like, no, I got to have 50 amp and full hookup everywhere I go, and I got to have this and this and this, and your checklist is pretty long, then it's probably not for you, and that's okay too. But if you're like us and you want to really save money and just use it as a tool, then I can't recommend it enough. So that's all I have to say about it. Derek, walk back in.
Yes, I was talking to our neighbors. We're getting ready to go on. We're going to look for a hike. There's
they
so many
staying
hiking
today?
trails. They think they are.
I think they're...
So.
See, look, flexibility. They thought they needed to leave today, and they were going to go south, and they just realized, like, we haven't had enough days together. So they went online, and it said they didn't have any availability. But they said that for us, too, and we ended up needing to extend, and so we called the ranger, and I said, and they were able to get us more days. So I said, go find them and ask them, because there's some empty sites here.
Yeah.
And I was like, just go ask. So they were going to go ask and find out if they could stay. In conclusion, I kind of already said it. I probably repeated myself like 15 times, but we use it as a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool to save us money. And in order to use it as a tool to save us money, we have to be flexible. And we don't complain when we don't get the perfect site, because we remind ourselves, like, we didn't pay $100 a night to stay here. So... Yeah. I can't complain.
We barely pay that one a month.
I know, yeah. If you buy an upgraded membership with Thousand Trails and you pay for it monthly, which is a great option.
Yeah.
Because it's depending on which one you get. I mean, 150 to 200 a month at the most, maybe. You could, if you're staying in Thousand Trails and look at it like that's what I paid for my sites per month, it's worth it. Anyway, hit us up if you have questions about it. Yeah. So, thank you for joining us and hearing more about what we really like and don't like about Thousand Trails and why how we utilize it. If you have gotten anything out of this video, feel free to subscribe to our channel.
Hit the notification button.
And hit the notification button so that you can be reminded anytime we upload a video, and we'll see you on the road. You're so, like...